Kulusevski's new role at Tottenham has made him one of the most unique players in the Premier League. No Premier League player has created more open play chances than Kulusevski this season. And that's even though Kulusevski is playing in a brand new role, completely new. So the question is, how and why has he become even more of a creative threat since Postecoglou completely changed his position? Or should I say, positions, plural. So this is Kulusevski's passing network and average positions from the entirety of last season. And as you can see, he was predominantly deployed out wide as a right winger. And by the direction of his passes, you can see that he often moved laterally when in possession, which is totally understandable because he's playing as a right wing. Either you're going to dribble or, yeah, look, you might cut in and put a beautiful cross in. But aside from that, it's going to be pretty lateral, right? Meaning that he often got the ball in these areas, as you would expect, as a right winger. And whilst he was still able to really influence matches from this area with in-swinging crosses, he actually does exactly that. Beautiful cross for Richarlison, and they score a goal from it. It meant that he was at times somewhat predictable, and the stats show it. Last season, he averaged 3.39 open play shot creating actions per 90. Now, this season, it's all the way up to 5.22 per 90. That is night and day when it comes to chance creation. But the change to his role means a lot more than just chance creation numbers, because what he offers the team and in this role, or roles, is absolutely outstanding, and it has completely changed Tottenham's tactics this year. So when we pull up his average position, we can see that not only is he more central, but the blue lines also show that his movements are a lot more drastic this season. And this shows that he's been given a lot more freedom to go to different areas of the pitch to go and affect play, and it's absolutely working. I'm thrilled to say that this video today is sponsored by Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN. It's a virtual private network that keeps your online data safe by encrypting all of the data between the device you use and the internet. Now, this is crucial when using public Wi-Fi out and about because it keeps those pesky cyber criminals at bay. The great thing about Surfshark VPN is that you can change your real location to any location around the world, over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries. Now, this means that you can access new content by exploring the Netflix libraries of Japan, USA, Australia. It is getting colder these days. You might want to be inside. But also, if you are going out to get some sun, you're out on holiday, and you want to watch your favourite sporting event, you can do, because with Surfshark, you can change your IP address back to the UK, and you can tuck into Sky Sports or BBC iPlayer or whatever you need. Masking your IP address is essential in becoming private online. A VPN ensures that your city, country, and download history isn't linked to your identity. And Surfshark's clean web feature blocks ads, phishing attempts, tracking, and malware, allowing you to surf the web safely. Safety is crucial. And the final thing that sets Surfshark apart and provides even more value is that you can use your Surfshark's VPN on unlimited devices. So if you currently don't have a VPN, it just makes sense to have one to watch what you want wherever you are safely. So take a look at my exclusive link in the description for 4 extra months when it comes to your Surfshark VPN. Surfshark gives you a 30-day money-back guarantee. There is absolutely no risk at all, so why not give Surfshark a go? So let's talk build-up play, because here is a great example of how Kulusevski's role has played a big part in Tottenham changing their approach to build up, because last season someone like Pedro Porro, who's right here, and Destiny Udogie of course as well, who kind of is actually a bit higher up and a bit narrower, Pedro Porro would have been that guy. He would have been a lot more narrow, and he would have been picking up the ball in the positions that Kulusevski is about to pick the ball up. And actually you can even see Paquetá going, "Stop that passing lane," in a Brazilian accent. But they've got other things on their mind. And Kulusevski, in a more central role, has been able to pick up the ball in this area. Now, what's really interesting here is that why is he all alone? Well, the reason he's all alone is probably because of the wingers. Now, the wingers are high and really wide. And actually, Dominic Solanke as well, very often, yes, he can hold up the ball, but he's willing to run the channels as well. He's doing a lot of sacrificial work, actually, for the team at the moment. And so it leaves Kulusevski with that space to go and get it. There's also a big problem here with West Ham in terms of what they're doing. And as soon as Kulusevski's, 1, able to get the ball, but 2, able to turn with the ball, he's now got so much space to drive into. And this is causing panic for most teams, but in this case, West Ham, for several reasons. So in terms of that high front 3, they're dragging the whole back line backwards. But for Guido Rodriguez, poor bloke, he is screaming. He's very, very afraid here because of the profile of Kulusevski. And that's what's so important here. to have someone who is known as a winger, and you know he can dribble, you know he can drive with the ball, you know he can drive at pace. When those players have the opportunity to do so in central areas, that is absolutely horrible for a defensive midfielder, because the defensive midfielder wants to kind of stay with his back four. And in particular, his two centre-backs. He wants to protect those two. He doesn't really want to get sucked out if he doesn't have to. And now you've got someone like Kulusevski running at outrageous pace up the pitch, enormous gap here created by that front line. And someone like Kulusevski is your worst nightmare when it comes to being able to get the ball and being able to drive. So now Guido Rodriguez has got to he's got to do something. And so either he goes, commits, gets himself in trouble if Kulusevski skips past him, which is very likely when you're someone like Kulusevski who's so good, or you just keep backpedaling and backpedaling and backpedaling. And that's kind of what happens here as it moves along. And so now all of a sudden you are in the final third. And so that allows, let's go back to what we were talking about right at the start there. This is build-up play. So within 7 seconds, you're in the final third. That's what Kulusevski is providing for Tottenham right now. He's a centre midfielder's nightmare because he's not a centre midfielder. He's a right winger playing against a centre midfielder, and a centre midfielder is not a fullback. And fullbacks don't like right wingers anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? Horrible. Ugh. So that's in build-up play, but what about movement in the final third? Well, before we touch on some of the ridiculous things that Kulusevski has been doing this season, I think it's really important that we look at the way his movement gives Tottenham an added threat that they previously didn't have. So this is Tottenham's passing network from the 4-1 win over West Ham. And what becomes very noticeable is that everything goes through James Maddison. I'm not talking food, I'm talking the football. And this is something that Ange has always wanted, allowing a great player to express himself by having the ball as much as possible. But last season, teams began to figure it out, and Maddison's effectiveness decreased because they knew that he was the guy. But Kulusevski's positioning has played a huge part in solving that. And this is why it's so effective. Kulusevski's advanced positioning often catches the attention of the opposition defensive midfielders. This often leads to Maddison receiving the ball in a lot of space in these kinds of areas. Where's Kulusevski? He's right here. Just so you know, okay? And as I say, he gets the ball in these lovely little areas with lots of space. Kulusevski's role is so diverse in how he operates as a Mezzala in build-up, but simultaneously will take up positions similar to that of a shadow striker in the latter stages of play. But this is where the intelligence of Kulusevski and the telepathy between him and Maddison really shows itself. Kulusevski's positioning gives Maddison that initial space, but then both of the West Ham midfielders, they make a subtle attempt, let's say, to get closer to the ball. So meanwhile, Kulusevski makes a lateral movement to this space here, which then allows him to receive the ball. Kulusevski is then able to receive the ball on the edge of the box. He's also, because again, he's got that profile of a midfielder, he's comfortable in these areas and he knows when he can move. He's got an understanding of being a 10 or being able to play as a 10. And he said recently himself, like, this is his dream role. So in these areas here, he's able to get on the ball and turn and able to get a key pass off. It's the subtle movements that Kulusevski makes that puts him into such good spaces around the box that then sucks in other players, but also allows him to, at the very least, attempt to play those passes into Son or Brennan Johnson, who have both massively enjoyed playing with Kulusevski. And these movements, it's a huge reason as to why his shot creating actions have gone from 4.14 last season to a career high of 6.84 this season. So from the average positions that we showed from the West Ham game, you could see that Solanke and Kulusevski were also close together. Honestly, this guy is everywhere. This is by design as well, and it demonstrated itself against Brighton. Romero has the ball right here, and if you look at Kulusevski, who's right here, he's got two players blocking that vertical pass that Romero wants to play. And that's a big thing with Tottenham. Some players, I remember Arteta talking about this, he generally wants to play a pass kind of not dead straight, so that basically someone like Saka, obviously, can pick up the ball kind of on the turn, on that sort of with their body language to the side. But with Tottenham, they're happy to punch through, then go sideways, almost a bit like like an L or a right angle of some sorts. And Brighton know that. So that pass through here is a very dangerous pass. And the pass to Bentancur is also not available because of Danny Welbeck. But if we move it on, that's where Dominic Solanke comes into it. You see that pass here? And then Solanke's able to play this pass to Kulusevski, who's already having a look, by the way, just to be clear, to see who's on their bike. And who's on their bike? You know, because he's high and he's wide. It's Brennan Johnson. And they're off. You've taken several players out of the game. Kulusevski has the ball and is able to play the pass into Brennan Johnson. And Brennan Johnson goes on to score a goal. Because Brennan Johnson is always looking to make those penetrative runs in behind. The whole thing just comes together as a bit of a symphony. And Kulusevski facilitates so many players in this team with his play and with his movement. At current pace, he's on track for his best ever season. And nobody seems to have a clue as how to prevent him from running the show. But how and why? So far, we've covered how Kulusevski operates simultaneously as a Mezzala and a shadow striker in different phases of play. But what we haven't touched on is how he still has those qualities of a winger to draw upon, which adds yet another layer of quality and importance to his role. He's like a delicious Swedish lasagna. And only certain men and women know how much I love a lasagna. This moment in the West Ham game actually starts with Kulusevski winning the ball in his midfield role. The guy's an 8 as well! But once he's won the ball for the team, does he stop there? Does he He keeps running. From 27 seconds, winning the ball, to 3 seconds later, he's bloody here now! This guy! He makes a run that not many players operating as an 8 would they're not even going to think to make that. They've kind of done their bit. And he makes the run of a typical winger. And Brennan Johnson understands this. He therefore makes a more sort of inverted run, let's say, in terms of the half spaces instead of being that out-and-out winger. And Kulusevski now can be utilised as a winger, of which he'd made his way to elite sport as simply that. And this is where those days spent as a winger come in incredibly handy, because he knows exactly what to do in this situation. Cut in and shoot, and yep, that's right. Actually hits this post, and then onto that post, and then is in. Goal. Yeah, that's right. Lad scores goals as well. One of your centre midfielders being able to do this is such a unique thing to possess. Kulusevski's threat is so diverse. But what I like most about Kulusevski, and I think I've made it quite clear that I like lots about him, is that it's what he's able to do in those half spaces. When he was playing as a winger, he was often starting out wide and then trying to get into those spaces. But now as an 8, he's just starting in these spaces, and I think he's just so much more effective for the team. And his composure, even when surrounded, is something that not many players have. And that comes down to being someone who is super, super comfortable, dribbling in tight areas and dribbling one-on-one. And the way he's able to manipulate the ball and the opposition defenders is also such a huge part of his game. I mean, even here, he looks like he's about to shoot. He picks up the ball here, it's played here. You think, all right, he's going to curl that, but he's going to fwa-pa-pa, isn't he? He's going to bloody, oh, that's the wrong one, isn't he? He's not going to do it that way, is he? He's going to do it this way. Fwa-pa-pa-pa, no, wrong way. Fwa-pa-pa. He's nearly going to do it. You know what I mean? But he doesn't. This is the game against Everton. He just goes... cuts in. He cuts out. He cuts in. He cuts out. He gets his head up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at this point, and actually 6 defenders kind of taken out of the game, and he provides an assist on the proverbial plate for Basuma, who absolutely, you've heard it here first. Wha-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa's it. Cracking finish, actually. There are so many reasons to like Kulusevski this season, and all of these reasons make him so tough to stop. You might be able to stop one aspect of him, but you seemingly can't stop all of them. And if he continues like this, he's going to end the season on ridiculous numbers. You heard it here first on the JLA channel. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. And only certain man know how much I love a lasagna.